one topic that comes up a lot, and this is the reason why we're having Steve here. We want to be transparent with our members about like funding and how much of a, look, honestly, how much of a challenge it is for us to get the right funding through membership, obviously, but membership as it stands right now isn't enough to employ everyone here and keep everyone paid. So we need to find sponsors time to time, and that is, I can't even imagine how hard that is, because a lot of sponsors don't want to touch politics, or more importantly, there are a lot of companies out there that we don't agree with. So I'm sure that we've gotten offers and you guys have turned it down, because I remember years ago, there was an offer from a for-profit college. They wanted to do advertising on TYT, and I said no, and you guys listened to me, and that means a lot, right?
Yeah, that was, I mean, the answer, I mean, it's an obvious no. We couldn't have done it, right? And I'm glad you were an instant no. But as a business person in charge of bringing money into the company so we can pay everyone, look, we're a progressive company. We don't want to cheap out, and we want to pay people as much as we can. And it's a struggle every single day. So for me, and I'm judged on how well I can do that job. So when there's a great opportunity, that was for like $1 million. So I had to say no to $1 million, right? But I had no choice. I can't say yes to a for-profit college. I can't have you and Jenk saying on there,
I wouldn't have.
Hey guys, sign up for this ridiculous BS college program.
That's gonna rip you off and give you an unaccredited degree.
And then there was another instance where it was an oil company. They wanted us to greenwash them because they give money to ocean sanctuaries. So they want us to do a whole series about how amazing oil companies are for the environment.
Please.
Absurd, right? So again, I have to say no. But there are a couple of issues. So it's a crash course on the economics of digital media companies. On the one hand, big companies like, let's say, Nike and Coke and Pepsi, they don't want to advertise with us because we're too small. I mean, they have massive reach and scale, and to work with us is just not worth their time. I totally get it. Even if everything else were aligned, we just don't have the scale that they're looking for. So that's a no. There are a lot of companies that do want to work with us, but we don't want to work with them, like the ones we just discussed. There are a lot of companies that we want to work with, but they don't want to work with us, even though we have the right scale. We're covering things that are depressing, like airplane crashes, terrorist attacks, and awful things going on in Washington. So they don't want to work with us. So it's very, very tough. It's so hard. In fact, we've had a number of sales, head of sales that came through here from small companies, big companies, and when they come here, they've all failed.
Yeah, they have.
They couldn't make
and it's
sales.
Not their fault.
It's not their fault.
This is not. And I have the same problem with like my manager, right? Representation, where we're not easy to work with because we do have principles and we do have standards, and so we reject all sorts of things.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's frustrating. But every once in a while, you do come across a company that has the right ethical values and wants to work with us. And luckily, like we've worked with Aspiration. We've done a lot of plugs for them as part of this partnership that we have. And so like I wanted to have a little more of a discussion about what Aspiration is, what it stands for, and why you decided like this is right for our company. This is something that's in line with what we do.
Yeah, so look, to be totally transparent, is this an ad for Aspiration? Kinda, right? Because we're talking about it. But it's more than that. It's really kind of an insight into how I see what the right partnership is for TYT.
I think it's important for the members to know that.
Yes, I think so. So this is why I wanted to do this with you during our post game. So what I was looking for is I want to find a company that, like TYT, is a disruptor. So a company that wants to do something differently than the way it has always been done, but they are doing things in a way that's progressive and better than they used to be. So what is that company? In this instance, it's Aspiration Bank. They want to do banking and financial services differently than the way banks have done for many years. So I'll get to that in a second. Another area that I'm looking at is insurance companies. We need insurance, right? But so many insurance companies have acted in a very greedy fashion. Their whole business model is to get as much money from you as possible from premium payments and then deny you coverage when you need it, right? Like that's their business model.
Have you found a good insurance company?
I'm looking, and there's some promising ones, right?
Okay.
So I have to do more research. So if the viewers know of any companies that fit that model, so a company that's a disruptor, a game changer, doing things in a better way that's less greedy, please let us know. I would love to work with them. So yes, another one is maybe telephone companies, right? So we all need a phone.
Right.
So I know Credo Mobile is trying to do something that is different from what other phone companies do. So I'm looking into that as well right now. So my whole goal here is to find companies that is a win-win-win, where they win because we give them customers, we win because they pay us, and our viewers win because they're getting a better product or a better service in a way that they haven't gotten before.
That's in line with progressive values.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like one of the companies that I really like is every once in a while, Steve will reach out to me and he'll be like, "Hey, let me know if there are any like ethical companies out there that you like to purchase things from." And one of them is a clothing line called Reformation. I don't know why I pronounce it weirdly every single time.
Is it Reformation or is it Reformation? I have no idea.
I don't know. I usually split the difference and it sounds weird, so I'm just not gonna repeat it. But it's funny because like that's the only place that I'll ever buy anything new from these days. I do a lot of like shopping at like thrift stores now and like secondhand consignment shops.
Yeah.
Cause like clothing is such an environmental waste, right? Fast fashion is a disaster, and I'm like super aware of it, and so I'm a lot more careful with how I spend my money, and I want to buy stuff that's like made here in the United States. And so with that company, they're really good about obviously everything's made in the US, but more importantly, they think about the environment in making these garments. And so they think about sustainability, and when you buy something from them, they'll explain to you how much was saved in water, in the production, which is cool. So like those kinds of companies exist.
There's a real movement for that. So there are a lot of companies from innovative, usually young people who are trying to do things in a better way.
Right.
And are they all perfect? No. Right. But they're just trying to be better than their competitors. Better being. Here, what I mean by that is they're more socially conscious, they are more responsible, they want to make the world slightly better in some way while they're making money at the same time. So I applaud those companies. So that's my mission, to look for them. Now back to Aspiration. The reason why I think Aspiration is such a great fit for TYT is this. First of all, our audience, they don't have to buy anything, right? They don't have to pay for anything, right? They don't have to crack open their wallet and give their money to someone else.
Right.
We all need financial services. We don't carry on a giant stack of cash with us, so we need somewhere to keep our money.
Right.
So with Aspiration, they don't take any fees. So you pay whatever fee you think is fair. It can be zero, or I think I pay like $15 a month just because I want to.
Wow, you elected to pay a fee? That's amazing.
I did, and I'm one of those people that over tips, and I just want to like not
reward
be cheap.
A good company.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I get it. Yeah.
So they don't charge a fee. They don't take your money and put it into fossil fuels, weapons of war, gun manufacturers, or those kind of things that are against progressive values, and they don't crush you with ridiculous fees.
Right. And they.
So the first thing when they first approached me, or when I first had a conversation with them, I was like, this is bullshit. I was like, what's the catch?
Yeah.
I was like, this can't be real, right? And then they explained to me how they make money, and what I realized is that I am so used to the greed of big banks that I just thought that was normal, and that any deviation from that normality, that normalcy that I just kind of instilled in myself is, I just thought it was a scam.
Right.
So can you put up that graphic about how banks make money? So banks make money in three primary ways, right? So they take your deposit dollars and they either invest it or they loan it out, right?
Right.
Now they shouldn't be investing, but because Glass-Steagall is gone, they can invest. Secondly, they make money from credit card transactions. So whenever you use a bank card to make a purchase, let's say it's a $100 purchase, what happens is when you pay the vendor, or rather it's a $100 purchase, the bank makes a little fee from the vendor.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
And then the fees, ATM, the overdraft, the monthly fees, and all of that kind of stuff. So you can come back to us. That's the way regular banks make money, and we all know how they do it, right? So let's say you have $100 in your bank, and you made an $80 charge, a $25 charge, and 3 $5 charges. They would sort it in a way so that you have an overdraft for as many of those charges as possible.
Right.
Regardless of the order in which you made the charges, right? Because if you did the $5, $5, $5, $25, then 80, should be only one overdraft charge.
Right.
But they take out the 80, then the 25, so now you're over, and all the $5 ones are also over,
They're
right?
so shady, yeah.
So Aspiration doesn't do that, and what their whole model is, we're not gonna be like the regular greedy banks. They can make plenty of money just investing our deposit dollars in things that do well, like green energy, and they make money if we use Aspiration card to buy things. We're not paying anything extra.
What's crazy though is, so if you do your banking at a big bank, it is very unlikely that you're gonna get paid a decent interest rate, right?
You get nothing, yeah.
So let me just preface this by saying that interest rates that banks pay you is related to what the Federal Reserve sets the interest rate to, right? And so Aspiration, even though the Federal Reserve lowered interest rates, is still paying 1% interest for Aspiration customers in their checkings account. I'm sorry, in their savings account. So Aspiration has that, when you open an account, you get a checkings and a savings. And so anything you keep in your savings grows by 1%. I know 1% doesn't sound like a big deal, but compared to other banks, I mean, I think Chase pays like 0.05% or something like that.
Yeah, it's comical. It's not even a real amount. But yeah, so the reason why they give you 1% is because their whole idea is, they're not gonna take everything, they're gonna share some back, right? So for what, they take your deposit dollars and make that money somehow loaning and investing, and on that return that they get, they're gonna give us back 1%, right? Same thing with our if you use an Aspiration Bank card to make purchases, they make a little, whatever percentage they make from the vendor, they give some of that back to us, to the user. So that's a great model, and I like it because it does a couple of things. One, TYT makes money whenever someone opens an Aspiration account at aspiration.com/TYT. Otherwise, we don't get credit. So if they open it on that particular URL, we get credit and they give us money because they said, so get this, I'm very proud of this. They said of all their customers at Aspiration that they acquire through advertising in all different places, TYT customers are their best customers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So when they acquire a customer, it takes them a long time to make money back because there's, every company has a certain acquisition cost for any new customer, but they make their money back on TYT customers like 2 or 3 times faster.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and collectively TYT customers have put in, I forget exactly how much money, but because the deposit amount goes up and down, of course. But at one point it was almost $1 million.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
so
incredible.
TYT people, TYT audience members who have opened Aspiration accounts, presumably they take money out of other places like Wells Fargo, Bank of America. So they've taken $1 million away from the big banks.
That's huge.
Which means that's $1 million that they can't use to invest in fossil fuels. Right?
Look,
so it's like a win-win-win-win, one more win.
For me, I think like the biggest benefit is taking that power away from big banks so they, for me it's like a political statement. So for instance, there's been a lot of pressure on these big banks to stop financing to gun manufacturers, for instance. And that's a fascinating way to kind of use go around Congress, because Congress is like, they're feckless,
Yeah, imagine this.
Whatever, Anna, they do nothing.
So remember when Trump was elected, there's mass protests all over the country. There's like there's like a women's march, there's a bunch of marches, right? Millions of people on the streets. If every one of those people changed their bank, they just close their Wells Fargo account, their Bank of America account, or whatever it may be, and those big banks lost over a weekend millions of customers, they would need to have an emergency board meeting to discuss what the hell is going on.
It's a huge deal, yeah.
Right? And then all the things that you're protesting, you can tell them, this is why we close our accounts.
Right, I don't like that you're financing fossil fuel companies.
Yes, right? I mean, you can get real change done. I mean, like marching and protesting is great, but in many ways, it's a little bit more like it makes you feel great without having a real impact. So march, but it doesn't take that much time to, I mean, it's a hassle to change your bank. It really is, right? It might take you like a couple of hours. It might take you a whole day.
It really
does. Worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario, but like, so I opened up an Aspiration account mostly because they paid a higher interest, and like ethically speaking, I don't want any of my money to go toward fossil fuel companies or gun manufacturers and like all this shady stuff. It took me like max 10 minutes. Now, obviously, if you have a big bank and you want to fund your account with Aspiration, you got to do a transfer, and so that might take a day or two. But I just feel like it's worth it to know that I'm using a financial institution that has some ethical standards.
Yeah, every progressive spends at least 1 hour a week complaining about the right wing and complaining about corporate Democrats. Right?
For us, it's most hours of the week.
Yes, at least 1 hour a week, right? So in that 1 hour, you can do something that's more meaningful than just complaining. You can actually make your money talk. So take your money out of those banks, put it somewhere that's more ethical. Also, let your wallet do the talking. There's a whole bunch of companies that are much more ethical. Like educate yourself. Don't give money to these dirtbag corporations that are doing the very things that you're protesting against every day, right? Like how crazy is it to do this show at TYT, then have your paycheck be automatically deposited into Wells Fargo, right? Like, I mean, that's crazy talk, right?
And by the way, my wallet does do a lot of talking. It's usually telling me like, you're not
I'm very
making
proud of
enough
you
money at TYT.
I found out about how active you've been in going to more responsible companies for your products and services.
Yeah, definitely. And then that was one other thing that I actually didn't expect this. I opened up the account and then they give you a rating based on the companies you do your consumerism at, right? So if you're shopping at environmentally conscious places, they give you a score every month.
That's the AIM score, Aspiration Impact Measurement Score.
It's pretty cool. I'm at a 92. And like my immigrant parents are in my head right now telling me like what happened to the other 8%, right?
You are such a nerd. I love it though.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Now that's awesome that you do that because Aspiration did make it easy for people to shop and spend their money in a more ethical way. And you can kind of keep track of it. So that's pretty cool.
But also one thing that I thought was interesting about it is like there are companies that try to do business as environmentally conscious as possible and all, but that I didn't even know about, right? So that's really helpful too. And it's educated me, which is important. And I think like we're all so busy that I don't begrudge anyone who isn't thinking about these things every day because we're busy and we're overwhelmed and we're just trying to make ends meet. And it's, which is why like the whole process with moving your money to a financial institution like Aspiration is so easy, and it's important that it's easy.
Yeah, so I've been going to a lot of these conferences around ethical businesses. This whole notion of be better about everything that you do in your company. And I went to this thing called the Social Venture Circle up in Berkeley, and the speaker was Ben Cohen from Ben & Jerry's. And he said, back in the 70s when he first got started, he wanted to do business in a very ethical, kind, thoughtful way. So he went to the library back then, because that's what people did. There was no Google. And he was looking to check out books on how to conduct business in an ethical fashion. And there weren't any. Then he went to the bookstores. There weren't any. There was nothing back then about how to do business the right way. By the way, he was an amazing speaker and a Bernie supporter.
Right.
But now there is a real movement towards that. So it's exciting. Like I'm excited to go to these things, talk to these companies, and figure out ways that we can create these win-win-win-win situations.
What would be really interesting is like doing some research on co-ops. Right,
yes.
Like where the workers own the company, they own the means of production, and they democratically make decisions. Like that would be super interesting. I mean, that I think goes along with what my personal values are.
So I know your job is hard, but my job is hard too. And then they complain a little bit because this is what I gotta do. I gotta like go to all these things. I gotta meet all these companies that have like tiny little advertising budgets and work with them. And I can't just work with a big corporation to get a big giant check and just call it a day, right? So I gotta hustle. So if you guys are out there, please let me know if there's any great companies for us to work with.
I love that.
Yeah, that'd be great. And if you haven't opened an Aspiration account, please do so. But if you do it aspiration.com/TYT. And we're running a sweepstakes. So
I'm excited about the sweepstakes.
The winner gets to have dinner with Anna, Cenk, and John. I mean, how awesome is that?
I just love free dinners. Like, I'm super excited.
I'll go to the dinner with you.
It's gonna be great.
I'll pay.
But what I also really love is that we're gonna have like this intimate dinner with one of our viewers. Like,
I know,
and we
that's
get to know them on a personal level.
Yeah.
So I've talked about this on the show. I'll just remind you again if you're interested in entering this sweepstakes competition. So you can open up. First of all, here's the URL if you want like all the details. Go to tyt.com/dinnerinla. And then you sign up for a free Aspiration spend and save account. That's the same thing that I opened, and it's great. And then you register your eligibility. All the details on that are provided on the URL that I provided, tyt.com/dinnerinla. After you register your eligibility, you just use your debit card from Aspiration, and every time you swipe, it's like you're entering to win.
That's right.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Aspiration had a similar thing with Tesla. A couple months ago. So whenever you use your Aspiration card, you get entered into a drawing for Tesla. I wish I had won, but I'm not even eligible to win. But we're doing our own thing through Aspiration for dinner with you guys, which is better than a Tesla.
I personally think it is because you get a free trip to LA.
Yes.
You get flown out. You get put up in a nice hotel, and then you have dinner with me, Cenk, and John. You're not invited, Steve. What happened?
I'll pay. I'll just pay for the dinner.
I like that. Okay, cool. So I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, look, I just want you guys to know like what happens behind the scenes with some of these business decisions. It's not easy for a progressive company because we obviously have our values and we get a lot of, I think unjustified criticism on social media. People think that our opinions are fueled by like corrupt. Let me just.
Oh my gosh, there's no corrupting influence of money here. I'll tell you that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, thank you guys, and I hope this has been helpful. I want to be as transparent as possible, and if you guys have any suggestions on who we can work with, that's greatly appreciated as well.
Thanks, guys.
Steve.
Thank you.
TYT is all about challenging and disrupting the status quo, and so is Aspiration. Aspiration does not invest your money into fossil fuel businesses that harm our planet, such as pipelines and oil drilling. Instead, you'll be able to fight climate change with tools like AIM, the Aspiration Impact Measurement, and Planet Protection. They also don't hit you with outrageous fees for you to access your own money. You can even earn cash back and get free ATM uses up to 5 times a month. Head to aspiration.com/TYT to learn more. For a limited time, get 30 days of free TYT membership when you sign up.